Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and I'm joined by Against the Current. We're here at Fueled by Ramen Records, and make sure to check out their new album, In Our Bones. Check it all out. Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade. All right, Against the Current, so congratulations, guys. Some really great things happening for you. We're in New York, we're in Atlantic Records, moving stuff around to get this shot perfect. It's a perfect morning already. Yeah. Talk to me about just everything going on, all the new music. It's got to be so exciting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's kind of been a whirlwind, so at times it's like we don't even really have a minute to process it, and then people like yourself will ask us this question, then we're like, wait, there is a lot going on. But it's just been incredible. The album release was awesome, and we've had an amazing time touring off of it so far, and yeah, we're really proud of what we've done so far, and we're just having a blast.
So walk me through the new album. How does this music get made? What's the process? I know everybody asks that, but I'm always curious about the dynamics of it all. Like, how does it all come together?
Yeah, it's kind of different sometimes, but for the record, one of our big goals going in was just to write as much music as possible. So we kind of just, every morning, whatever, 12 o'clock, we'd go in and just kind of just try to write something, try to write 2 songs sometimes. And they would start different ways. It could start with a instrumental idea, a little guitar hook or something, or a vocal idea, or even just like a lyric, or even one word, or just an idea, and then we just kind of follow that idea and that vibe, and hopefully we have a song by the end of the day. So it kind of varies, but it's good to keep it fresh.
How did the three of you come together? How did this all happen?
Me and Will went to school together since about 3rd grade, and then we've been in bands since then, and then we needed a singer. So we met Chrissy through a mutual friend, and then, things started working, and we jammed a little bit, thought it fit, started writing some songs, and we've been a band since. So.
Yeah.
Do you know right away? Like, do you test it out, you jam, does the chemistry click right away? You're like, Chrissy might fit here.
As soon as we actually met in person, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it was all via the internet and stuff, and Skype and email and stuff.
Yeah. A lot of iChat.
Yeah, I would say as soon as we actually sat down and got in a room together, it was very obvious. It was this is gonna work.
I'm so ancient; these terms mean nothing to me.
See, these terms are outdated.
Yeah. Omegle was sketchy.
Omegle was sketchy.
Oh,
It started off with good intentions though.
it really did.
And then it went dark.
How about for you, Chrissy? You meet these two guys. How do you know this is a fit that you want?
I was actually just, because I had never been in a band before, and I was never really part of the band scene. I was kind of just on the outskirts of it, had a lot of friends that were involved in it, but I wasn't personally. So when I found out about them and went on their MySpace page and things like that, I was like, this is so cool. I was like, these guys are so cool. I was floored, and because they were my age and doing things that I wanted to do, and I was like, Mom, there's these guys that I've never met before. They live an hour and a half away. Can I go over and play music in their basement?
That must
Sounds like the worst.
really well.
And,
Chrissy, go to your room.
And somehow by some weird which is why I kind of think this is if you believe in fate or whatever it is, some act of the universe, because by some weird coincidence of events, we met, and my mom agreed to drive me an hour and a half to meet these guys, or your mom who drove you first.
Yeah,
I remember Dan's mom was waiting upstairs with your
Yeah.
parents while it was an appointment.
Yeah.
They were just
It was funny.
seeing if it was going to work downstairs, just
Yeah.
it's good.
So it was.
This story scares me. I'm never having children. That's all I can say. The internet, you had mentioned that, and a big part of what you guys are doing from a marketing perspective is through social media, and it's incredible to see, because this is something that didn't exist 10, 20, 30 years ago for bands. Now bands like you, who are young and putting your name out there, are able to use it. Talk to me about being able to use social media in furthering everything you're doing.
Social media was a huge part of our band. When we formed, we were still in high school, so we couldn't tour and do the traditional band route. So we started putting up videos on YouTube, cover videos, and that would draw people in, because we wanted them to hear our original music, because that's what it was all about. So we'd try to have something for everybody there.
Yeah, try to connect with people first through covers and things like that, like Dan said, and then hopefully they'd be interested enough to, buy our singles that came out and eventually our EPs, and then eventually when we did start touring, come to the tours. But even now, we're really lucky because of that early start on YouTube to have such a globalized fan base that it's important for us, we're here in the US now, we're about to do a US tour, to keep the Asian markets and everyone in Europe engaged. We still have to be fully active online. It doesn't just stop.
How do you keep that relationship with fans going? Because it's so difficult not to just have a one-sided conversation. How are you able to continue to engage them and make them feel like they're part of your story?
We always try to do, cool little like live streams and stuff like that, especially before tours. So like recently we did a Facebook live thing where we were like carving pumpkins for Halloween, and we came up with like a little contest and stuff. So that, and just staying active on Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So keeping them
engaging
involved.
personally.
Yeah. That, and it also at shows, just talking
Going
to
out,
people.
like, signing after shows and
Hanging out with
take
people.
pictures and stuff. Yeah, we always are down to meet the fans.
Yeah,
and
even
talk
just
to
like
them.
one person, just having like a real conversation with someone, that goes a long way.
Yeah, and just
That's so
making
scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
Like, oh my
I feel like it's
God.
more scary for us. We're like, a lot of times I feel like I'm more nervous than the person is. It's just like,
definitely.
You're a fan. That's so cool.
Yeah.
When you start looking out 5, 10, 15, 20 years, where do you see against the current? Where would you like to see this band end up?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is that, we've never tried to be anything, and we've never forced anything. So I think for us, it's maybe 5, 10, 15 years from now is a little bit more ambiguous than the answer most people would give, because for us, we don't 100% have this vivid picture in our head. It's more that we love what we're doing, and we just want to grow it and grow it and grow it as far as we possibly can. And we want to do it for our lifetime, we want to do this as long as we possibly can do it. I'd love to win a Grammy. Just gonna throw out that.
Sell out arenas. And
Yeah,
sick.
but obviously there's all those big goals, like awards and arenas and those big talk shows and things like that. But and platinum albums. But ultimately, it's just we love what we do, and we just want to grow it as massive as it possibly can be.
Being so young, I always think about when you start pursuing artistry or a career in artistry so young, you're giving up some, like the normal life that college kids deal with, high school kids deal with. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think about, hey, we're giving up this normal life to pursue our dream?
lately I've actually been thinking more
Yeah.
about that. It's like, especially with like a relationship like end of things, like friendships and stuff, you definitely give up a lot in that realm. Like there's a lot of, because we were so busy like outside of school and like preoccupied with what we were doing with music, that you definitely lose like friendships, and like you think about it sometimes, and it's tough because it's like a trade-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We really just went all or nothing with our music, and you definitely miss out on some stuff, but it's worth it because it's what we love to do. So
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I just love food shopping, and I don't get to do that often. I love the grocery store. I really do. Not gonna lie. And like when I get home, the first thing I do is go to the grocery store.
Fame will change all that, by the way.
I love the grocery store.
If you become mega famous, you'll never be able to do that again.
I'll
It's
still
crazy.
grocery shop.
You can do anything at a Walmart at 2 a.m. You can do anything.
How about for you guys? Have you had the same effect where you've looked at giving up normal life to pursue a dream?
Yeah, I mean, me and Will, like, obviously, like, we live literally 2 minutes from each other, so we have a lot of the same friends, so I think we're in the same boat there. It's definitely hard. And, like, when I'm home, I like to go see all my friends that go to school. Like, tonight I'm going to see my friends that go to school in Albany, so, like, I try to make it happen when I'm home, but being away all the time is definitely hard, but
What's
it's worth
the-
it.
Has everybody been supportive? Does
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
jump on the
Yeah,
bandwagon and say,
we're
go
really
go for it,
lucky.
go make it?
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
supports us. They're all, like, great. They always come to the shows when we come through and say hi.
Yeah.
And they're always, yeah.
And our
always-
families are amazing. They've always like supported this dream. I mean, at sometimes like I feel like our moms are bigger fans than our fans are themselves. Like
Oh, yeah.
they like
Oh, yeah.
they know everything. Like my mom and my granny, and I know your mom and your mom.
Actually, my dad knows more. My dad turned into
Really?
a social media whore. He
He
knows
won't accept-
everything.
won't
Dan
accept my
knows. He was
Facebook
chewing
friend request.
Dan's ear off like
Yeah.
the other day. We're walking out of the house, telling him all these things that we should be doing.
But we were doing a live like streamed acoustic performance the other day for an outlet, and my granny was like texting me during it. And she's like, "I'm watching you," and I was like, "I didn't even know we were doing this till I got up here. Like, how did you find this that quick?" And so it's just like, yeah, they're definitely our #1 fans, which helps a lot.
For people who would just discover you, what do you hope they take away from Against the Current?
I think ultimately our goal has always been trying to, just kind of defy precedence and like standardization for the sake of, not for just the sake of defying it, but just because we've never wanted to be contained into a box. We've never wanted our band to be able to be categorized easily, and like fit nicely into this genre, or nicely like this band sounds like this band. We've never wanted any of that. We just wanted to do what felt right to us. We didn't want to follow, these are the steps how you get from point A to point B, and this is how bands become successful. We just wanted to make music that we loved, and we want to encourage other people to do the same thing with whatever it is that they love, to just do what they love the way they love to do it, and not have to follow other people's, paths or standards or whatever they are.
Are there bands that you guys look up to? I know you're saying
No, of
differentiate, but are there bands you look up to?
Oh yeah, I mean,
course. Yeah.
like that's the reason we started playing music, because we loved the bands that we listened to.
Yeah,
so.
and a lot of the bands that we look up to so much were game changers. Like, they didn't follow those precedents. Like, Dan loves Green Day, and like, they obviously made huge waves, and so many of those
Rock and Roll Hall of
Yeah.
Famers.
Massive.
so many of those bands that we look up to that like made waves because they kind of had this mentality like where they didn't care what everyone else was telling them to do.
So you talk about differentiation. How much strategic thinking goes into differentiation? Is it something like, hey, I wake up and I want to live stream a meeting bowl of cereal, or there's a plan as to how we're going to attack our marketing approach?
Kind of depends.
I think, it really depends on the situation. I mean, obviously, if it's like leaving for a tour, then like it's obviously planned out. But like we try to do stuff to interact, like just on our own whenever we can. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just like situational.
It's good to have
I'd
a
say.
good like ratio. It's not completely one to the other. It's not completely planned. It's also
Yeah.
not completely chaotic and random.
Yeah, some things
The
like
mix.
Yeah, some things require more planning, and then other things we just like to be ourselves, because like that is our whole thing, is just doing you. So we don't want to define us before we give it to people, because then we're not really doing us.
Even things that are planned, we end up
Yeah,
winging
it never
it.
works
Like,
out.
like we'll plan something for such a long time, and like we figure it out as we're doing it. Basically, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
This
like-
was the most planning we've done for a live stream by carving pumpkins.
Yeah.
But I still didn't even plan what I was going to carve beforehand.
Yeah.
Just went
Still
for
wasn't that much thought before.
Yeah.
Just like figure it out.
My final question, I'm always fascinated by fan moments. What has been your number one fan moment so far?
It's always a hard question.
it. Yeah. There's so
Number
many amazing
one
ones.
fan moment.
Number one.
Or coolest moment that you've experienced?
What a pretty...
I really like all the art they give, like
Yeah.
the talented drawings and paintings. Like
Yeah.
It's
that's
freaky,
really,
isn't
it's
it?
really
The-
cool.
yeah.
We got like some of the best on this last tour.
they're
Yeah.
insane.
We got like these portraits of us that were like incredible. These sketches, like they were of photographs of us. So it basically it looked better than the photograph. It was crazy.
And the crew always hangs them up in the bus, and you stare at yourself. It's
Yeah.
just like, why? Why
Yeah,
did
some
you
really
do
good
that?
art for sure.
Recently, for me, I got sick, and we had to cancel a day of show, and there were already like kids there at the venue, and like I know Dan and Will were outside talking to them, and I was like in bed, but they gave one of you guys a necklace to give to me, and like just a note about feeling better, and then they were singing our songs outside the bus, and then they would yell at the same time like, "Get well soon, Chrissy," and I could hear them in my bunk, and it was just like I started crying in my bunk, because I was so mad at myself for being sick that day. Like I was so like upset and mad, because I was trying so hard to keep healthy, and like I still like just got really sick, and I was like so upset, and so just hearing them like still being so like relentlessly loving was just like I lost it. It was great.
Well, congratulations, guys. Keep moving on up. Congrats
Thank
on
you.
everything.